are no dogs today, and I am devastated. But at least we got some Hooney greeting us with that award-winning smile.
Nice.
We'll see if he and the rest of Dignitas can pick up the win as they face Hanser and the surging Golden Guardians. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LCS Countdown, where for 30 minutes we share some hot takes and hear from a Dignitas spokesperson until the timer reaches 0, and we jump into Champion Select. I don't know what that's all about, Mark.
Not an official.
That's coming later in the show. A reminder that tickets for the spring finals are on sale in Frisco, Texas. Or rather, will go on sale February 21st. Apologize for baiting you there just a moment ago. Get your seats at SeatGeek.com Friday at 10 a.m. PST. That's noon for those of you in Texas. Get the exact purchase URL from the LUL Esports Spring Finals article on lulesports.com. Now, TSM were unable to topple Cloud9's undefeated streak just yesterday, while to the surprise of many, except for maybe those within the org, Immortals now sits in second at 5-2. Dignitas and TSM, they sit at 4-3 in hopes of moving up in the standings, while Evil Geniuses and Team Liquid sit below Golden Guardians and 100 Thief in 6. Yeah,
what year is it?
Not what you probably expected to see here in Week 4 of the LCS. But in an attempt to continually challenge the aptitude of the desk's analysts, I'd like to bring back Not My Hot Take, where we will navigate takes not brewed by hours of research, but by one another. And first up is Mark.
Oh, all right.
What's your hot take, Mark?
I haven't seen it yet. Keith is being held back by FBI. That is my hot take. So, I mean, just look at what happened for the first half of the season. They had my boy Keith on Tom Kench. Not a good champion for an aggressive, hungry playmaker like Keith.
Yeah.
And as soon as they stop needing him to protect FBI, who can't position, as soon as they enable Keith to start popping off, they give him Thresh, they give him Nautilus. What happens? They've ripped off 2 wins, 1 wish against Team Liquid and Doublelift.
I have a real tough time arguing against that.
As soon as you unshackle him from Tom Kench and having to save FBI all the time, he's out there making plays.
I thought this was delusional at first, but now I'm starting to believe it.
Maybe it ain't so hot.
Whose take was it?
Maybe it's the super
That was
fresh
my
one.
take. That was my take.
I did my best. I don't know if I sold anyone.
Well sold. Well sold. All right, Crumbs.
Let's
Not
see.
your hot take, baby.
What is my hot take going to be? Reaper could coach any current LCS roster up to top 4.
Any
LCS roster, and he can. This is the man that has come out of SKT under the wings of some of the greatest players of all time, graced by Coma. Jack has given him an opportunity for 5 years to do whatever he wants. Any team that could pick him up could easily give the same results, and it's all because of him. I mean, he has been the coach of the split how many times at this point?
Not enough time.
Not enough. Exactly. Not enough time.
Yeah, he actually hasn't gotten it.
You think you could save Team Liquid?
He could save CLG.
4 times.
He could
Wait,
save
I was just told
CLG.
actually four times. That's more than
There
I
you
thought,
go.
to be
Look
honest.
at
I thought
that.
it was spurned more often.
5 years of coaching 4 times player of the split. I mean, you don't get a better track record.
Okay,
than
yeah,
that.
CLG, if you're in the market for top 4, that was my take.
Okay.
That was my take there. All right, and not my hot take, Doublelift will not make an all-pro team. Not a single one, not even top 3, and I'll tell you why. In part because he has approached this season with the attitude of defeat. You can see it in his eyes, and it's quite clear that he is a frustration for the rest of his team. You can see other people working around the map, but with the expectation of a guy who should smash lane, loses to the hard carry of Keith, as we just demonstrated.
Can't get
maybe I can't knock him that much for dying to the death sentence of the hard carry Keith in the bot lane. But
great.
the reality is that when you talk the talk and you win 4 championships in a row, I expect you to be winning those 2v2s, and he just hasn't done it. That's your hot take, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
obviously. I'm the only one. I'm surprised you didn't mention Sven and some of the other people popping off.
Oh, true. I could have gone with the route of who goes above him.
Right, yeah.
Which is
It would be everyone if he's not making it.
Literally everyone.
End of season probably.
Until Reaper steps in as coach.
Yeah.
And then he coaches Doublelift back up onto an all-pro.
Reaper and Doublelift, that's how we would have won Worlds if just the two would get along.
Is that how we do it?
Yeah.
Who's moving over?
All right, well, it's really hard to buy into the hype for any of the teams at the bottom of the table, but thankfully we've got Riv standing by to go in depth of narrative hell to be the devil's advocate.
Here's what you don't get. This is all going according to the script. You're just looking at it the wrong way. Don't worry about TL. They're just making sure they hit the bottom of the standings before their climb all the way back to first and a 5th title. Also, this is all according to the master plan for evil geniuses who said they're going to battle it out with Team Liquid, and you can't do that unless you're next to them in the standings. And Counterlogic Gaming, you must be completely devoid of hope before this team can win another title. That's what the spring season is all about. By the way, I hear all of you chanting Cloud9. Did you ever take basic science zoology? Clouds dissolve, people, and I bet 99% of you, no, 100% of you don't have cloud insurance. So don't let these narratives cloud your judgment. Now you can sound like you know what you're talking about. We'll be back right after this.
Riv, other way.
No, we'll be back.
Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, about 22 minutes away from that first game of the day. I'll be honest, for this edition of JatStats, I gave my cheat sheet to Appa, the golden retriever from yesterday, and I'm disappointed to now know that I cannot use him.
Yeah.
And so, hell, let's just see what happens. Jack, go ahead, take it away.
So slightly different today. I'll give a stat, I want a quick guess, and then I have 2 hints lined up to narrow it down afterwards. So the first question, 5 of the top 6 players in KDA in the LCS are C9 players. So who's the non-C9 player who's kind of snuck in to the top 5 KDA?
Top 5 KDA.
Santorin.
Ooh,
You said fast. I don't know.
That was fast.
Okay.
Who's a high
Same
KDA?
team. Same team. That makes no sense. It's Smithy.
Smithy as well?
Okay, so here's the hint. It's an AD carry player.
Oh, so who's
Alltech.
Yeah, Alltech.
Alltech,
Immortals
Alltech.
ADC.
Okay, the next hint is it's a domestic AD carry player, but you all already got the question right.
Yeah.
It's all tech.
Hey, I
Top
like
5.
this new format.
All right.
I like this
Hints.
format.
Speed around.
All right, so with 159,321 damage in 7 games, this player leads the LCS in damage.
Power of Evil.
It was PoE before, but I don't know if it's still true. He also has played 7 games. They didn't play yesterday.
Sven.
Yeah, that's a good
Who was
guess. That's a good
behind?
Because I think he wouldn't put this in if it were still Power of Evil. Somebody out damaged him.
It's also not
Crushing
DPM. It's also not
yesterday.
DPM. So longer games. I'm gonna go Kabe.
It's an AD carry,
Sven.
not Kabe.
Sven.
Here's a hint. It's not an import AD.
Oh, it's Alltech again.
Again?
It's
Alltech
Alltech again.
It's Alltech.
All right.
I like the Alltech type.
I was about to say, we
Yeah.
already have our first guess for question 3.
Yeah.
You already got it.
Okay.
It's a team where
I'm not even going to listen to the question.
35 blue buffs have been killed or stolen by this player.
Yeah,
It's the
Alltech.
most across an LCS and LEC. Who is this player?
It's a jungler, right?
Closer.
Can I? It's a jungler, right?
It's a mid laner. That's
It's a mid laner,
Bjergsen.
Bjergsen, because we know how much he loves
Bjergsen.
blue buffs. Remember we were looking at
Bjergsen,
those
yeah.
blue buff statistics a couple
Blue and
weeks
red,
ago.
too.
Second hint, they're Danish.
Bjergsen.
Bjergsen. Jensen.
It's Jensen.
Yeah.
Give the next hint if you were right.
Oh, you would have told
Yeah, I
me?
would've
Oh, I
told
thought
you
you just
right.
wanted to keep giving you hints. So I was like, I'm just going to keep going.
Bjergsen was right up there as well. He's really close, but it's actually Jensen.
I felt like it was a.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, that's a fun
like
new
the
version
hint
of
for it.
JatStats. I like that.
We got better at
Fast-paced
it.
and fun. All right. Well, for some people who invested in the LCS stock market, it was a dark time. It can be really trying. So Azael is here with a way to help.
Hey LCS fans, I'm here to talk to you about something a little bit serious. Recently, havoc struck the league when Tropical Storm Keith devastated the Team Liquid bot lane. Category 5 death sentences decimated the stocks of some of the on-air talent you know and love, and also Mark. The harm this has done to stock portfolios is unprecedented, with certain analyst portfolios almost entirely wiped out. Did you know 1 in 3 casters lose their home each split? I sure didn't when I took this job. Thankfully, there's a way for you to help. Your spare stocks can help a caster in need, like Kobe or Mark. No donation is too small nor too big, whether you only have a couple of spare CLG laying around or you're ready to change a caster's life with a donation of some C9. Every single donation goes directly to someone who desperately needs your help. You could be the reason someone's LCS stock market is saved.
Azael, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Didn't you also invest in Team Liquid?
No. I won last split. No, I wouldn't have. No. Do we have any more sad pictures of Kobe? Can we get those up there? Anything helps. Call now.
Sure. All right. Well, hey, I'm glad to see that he's doing something nice, a little charity work there. We might have to find a system or an avenue for some of you guys to get
very
back.
happy now.
Very dejected. How are you feeling
now.
about the relief fund that was just set up for you, Mark?
I just have to look at the prediction pineapple.
Can you remember? Do you remember?
Find some solace.
Remind myself.
Find some solace in
I
the
do good
prediction
work
pineapple.
sometimes.
Over 2 weeks ago, they were laughing at me for going
Oh,
CLG.
yeah.
Look at them now, begging.
Who didn't-
From your ivory tower, does it feel
I've got
good?
11 CLG. Someone want a CLG? Still not losing as much as the Team Liquid. Ooh.
Well, have you considered donating?
No, I
Consider it, my friend.
Give me a CLG.
And while you consider that, I'll let y'all know that MasterCard is giving away a trip to the spring finals. There are 2 ways to win. Either purchase RP using your MasterCard or save that card in the league client. Both ways automatically enter you to win. Get that set up during the break, and we'll catch you here for more Countdown. Yes, hello? Is this the LCS Stock Relief Fund? Yeah, I'd like to make a donation. Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, narrowing in towards that first game of the day. The Academy Showcase is back tomorrow, but games will be starting a half hour earlier at 1:30 p.m. PST. Exactly. Set that watch. Set the alarm. Reminder, though, to tune in after those games for your President's Day festivities where the Tigress, Mark, and Prowley will be guiding you through Monday Night League. Then, shortly after, Riv and Avli will be joined by Meteos, Papa Smithy, Cody Sun, and Nade Shot from 100 Thieves on the Bud Light League Lounge on twitch.tv/Bud Light. That is quite a lineup. Let's turn to our schedule for the day, see what we got lined up. Game 1 has Froggen looking to take down his former team in Dignitas versus Golden Guardians. Then Team Liquid aim to pick up a much-needed win versus a struggling Counter Logic Gaming, with FlyQuest Academy versus 100 Thieves Academy shortly after Game 4. After their victory yesterday, Mr. Dignitas held a press conference to assure any concerns.
First off, I want to say that what you saw against 100 Thieves goes to show that everything is going according to plan. We are competing for a championship, and I hope it will put a stop to the needless hunt for these empty scoops. I will now take relevant questions.
Mr. Dad, over here.
You on the left.
So what went wrong with the drafts in the losing streak, and what are you doing to prevent that from happening in the future?
First off, I don't think anything went wrong in the drafts, and I think that's preposterous that you would suggest that. It is merely a growth opportunity towards our championship future. Yes, you.
Are you concerned with your team getting overconfident enough to go on an 0-3 winning streak only after beating bottom teams?
I see no problem with confidence. Next question.
Mr. Dignitas, Dash from the queue.
Sure.
When does Acadian start?
Acadian currently starts in the Academy League. Thank you for your question.
Mr.
Yes, you.
Mark with Hotline League. Why an owl?
Owls are sweet. Next question.
Crumbs from Solo Q Super Show. Any plans to cleanse the Dignitas Baron Curse?
I actually don't know what you're referring to. Next
One
question.
more, right here. Have you considered that your Academy team is better than your LCS team?
I think that would be a great problem to consider, but no, I have not, because our LCS team is the best. Any more questions? All right. I hope that clears up any misconceptions. I'll see you next time.
I noticed there when I asked about the draft, he said the drafts were fine, which means it must have been the players' fault they went 0-3. So that's
Dignitas.
some front office putting it on the players.
I'm also going to share some agreement with Mr. Dignitas. I also don't know what the Dignitas Baron Curse is.
No, you were totally unaware.
Never heard of that.
Never experienced it.
We weren't there?
I have no insider knowledge.
What reporter would be coming up with nonsense?
Fair enough.
I see why he had to hold a press conference. There's lies being thrown
just
around.
so many lies misconceptions being shared. Well, Dignitas and Golden Guardians, they both come off of wins that had their mid laners surprise us. For Froggen, drafting that Orin mid, and then for Golden Glue, picking up player of the game on Cassiopeia.
Yeah, Froggen is going up against Golden Glue today, who replaced him on Golden Guardians, but he has been really, really good over the course of this year. He did have that bit of a slide during their 3-game loss. A lot of it was on different champions. The Echo didn't look great against PoE. Some of those things were not what we expect out of Froggen. The Orin also not what we expected, but I do like to see that he's not scared off trying new things, especially once we've already seen it kind of work for others. We've seen the Orin mid starting to get flexed around. It does look pretty good.
I love that about the Orin because it's now allowing Froggen's champion pool to be synergistic with the team in the draft. You no longer have to save his pick for last pick. He can actually pick something that you can flex around, and he can influence the draft a little bit better than just demanding a last pick.
And while we talk about that featured matchup in the mid lane, I think it's also important to jump down to the bot lane and talk about, for the Golden Guardians, FBI. I mean, this guy, you know,
As much as I was memeing him at the start of the day, I actually
Holding back Keith, man.
I was kidding, all right?
he would just stop holding back.
Look at these replays. He was great. He kept flying in first on Kai'Sa, making sure to not actually get caught out of position, often baiting cooldowns from opponents. He had a fantastic game on the Kai'Sa, and this is what I like out of their bot lane. I was saying that Tom Kench was because of FBI. Who knows why, but either way, just more aggressive champions. Champions who can make their own plays happen with some agency, like a Thresh, like a Kai'Sa. These kinds of things that can go in when they see an opportunity, because that's what Golden Guardians said in their video was, we want someone who can punish mispositionings and actually be aggressive, and that's why they chose Keith, and we're starting to see that.
I really expect Golden Guardians to be better now that 10.3 has come around and Senna and Aphelios are in a different spot with experimentation with the Kai'Sa, the Ezreal coming around a lot more with Immortals as well. So I think that more variety in the bottom lane should let Keith and FBI mess with more picks to be in a more comfortable spot.
And at the end of the day, it's just cool to see a player that an org has chosen to invest in heavily finally find his stride, right? Last year when he was picked up, there was some kind of conversation around this is young talent that we're going to invest some serious time into working into a late game carry.
Right, and the only thing we have to couch it with is it was against CLG yesterday.
Yes.
And so now going up against Afro and Johnson, they have to, put on...
Johnson, another really hot rookie, right?
Right, we want to see a similar performance now against a stronger bot lane and team as a whole in Dignitas to really cement that FBI and Keith are starting to turn that corner and figure out how they're going to work together.
Absolutely fair. And while FBI is stepping up, I will recall all the way back to the beginning of the split where the conversation around Golden Guardians was Closer is stuck in Elo hell.
Yeah.
But I wanted to really figure out and pin down how good this guy actually is, right? And so where would you two rank him individually now that the team is on the up and up?
Well, I think
Where'd you put him?
I put him above literally every jungler except Xmithy.
You put him
You're
above
number two?
Blabber?
You're number
and
two
let me
jungler?
tell you why. Because my criteria is solid here. My criteria as the jungler is your team. What are you working with? If anything this season, we have learned the impact of Niski and Svenskeren. How much of that was actually Niski? The jungle role really is dependent on your supporting cast. I think that Closer has one of the weakest supporting casts for what he is performing. Look at Blabber. His team is stacked. Look at what Closer is working with, yet he's still aggressive, he's still getting results, and Xmithy is the only one that I say, you know what, his supporting cast is also not up to the level that Blabber is, and so because of that, because we have more time with Xmithy, I rank him above Closer, but it's just amazing that this guy is still level-headed, not tilted, and still leading the team with what he's been giving.
Okay. I'm down with the idea that, junglers do have to work with their team more than anyone else, and your performance will be kind of indicated by that. But above Blabber?
Yeah.
It's not like you get credit because your team's bad and you haven't done anything. How about you give credit to the guy actually doing the stuff with a good team? I understand he has a good team, but he's still out there actually making this happen. He is still...
Where did you put him?
I put Closer 5th.
Whoa.
So, but that means,
That's
so
top
that
half
means
the
you have
league.
more than
Yeah.
Smithy and Blabber ahead of him.
Right. I think Dardoch has been in a similar play style. He's been really aggressive. I've seen more things out of his jungle pool to help the team, whereas Closer plays Jarvan and Lee for the most part.
Okay.
He does have other champions. I have no way saying he has a small champ pool, but he hasn't been sacrificing the way I've seen first pick set getting flexed to jungle to set up Broken Blade for counter picks and things like that. I had Santorin up there as well. I think when you talk about not a ton going on with the team, I look at FlyQuest, and they're similar to Immortals to me, where there's no one who jumps off the page as this guy's carrying this team, and yet FlyQuest is another one of these teams that's surprisingly doing pretty well. So similar idea. I think Closer and Santorin was really, really close for me, though. That was just kind of like,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's very different.
Very different.
Well, I'm sticking to the opinion I had the first day I saw him.
I appreciate and respect both of the rankings. I think that's a very optimistic take there, Crumb.
Really?
I think so. I agree on the Blabber point. That's the big one for me. I could totally see the argument over Dardoch or Santorin. But Blabber?
Listen, I think Blabber is
Highest win rate all time.
he had the highest kills coming into
Currently
the week.
7-0.
Yeah. Also has how many former champions on his team?
Not that many.
Not that many now.
Well,
Niski,
not that many.
Licorice.
Ah! Sven,
He's got
one.
He's got one.
One.
One's got Keith. One's got
Crumbs.
Keith.
I have to ask.
How many did Hunter have? How many did Hunter have?
Crumbs, I have to ask for your analyst card back. Excuse me, sir. Please submit your analyst card.
I've lost it. I've never had it.
He forged it.
Oh my God, where do we go from here?
One's got Keith. The other one's got Vulcan.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
I mean,
for the jungle.
True, I do. I think
Yeah.
that is a valid argument. I think the argument about the pieces around them is a valid argument. But even with that, Blabber's the one person I still think is outperforming Closer. I'm okay with the Dardoch, with him being over Dardoch and him being over Santorin.
It was a tough one, but
I think it's
I
cool.
wanted the spice.
It's cool, man. It's cool. I'm totally flustered by where this went. But with the game coming up in not too long, let's go ahead and get your win conditions on the board. Crumbs, you get Dignitas.
Yeah, Dignitas. Okay, they have to come up with a way to win here. I like what they did yesterday, getting really creative with the draft, so getting an advantage, whether it's having a snowball comp or frogging on something else. So I think that's the one thing. And the second one, shut down Closer. Shut down Closer. What I was just talking about.
Second best.
So here's exactly how I think you should play against Closer. Pick champions that have ability to collapse into the jungle very quickly. So picks like Zoe, Ornn, LeBlanc in the mid lane. The second the jungler comes in, they can instantly collapse. Top lane, champions like Camille. Bot lane, champions like Leona. Just very quickly get into the jungle and purge Closer out of there, because all he's trying to do is mess with your jungler. Also, if you can, pick Soraka.
Yeah, that's
Both of us. Both of us are like,
Can we put that on
homework?
from here on out? Go ahead and pick Soraka.
Yeah.
What's the answer for
Obviously,
Guardians?
throw me in the Soraka camp as well.
Right.
But for me, I would also say Keith and FBI, you already heard me preaching about them on aggressive champions. Would like to see that again, especially since Afro still has a little bit of that lingering, sometimes slightly out of position, moving on his own and gets picked off. I would like to see them have the opportunity to actually follow through on those, as well as Closer. He's amazing. Get him a good matchup. Maybe it means even going the Olaf and some of the Soraka empowerment comps if they want to do something like that. I would love to give more resources to Closer, however you can manage to do it. It is hard to funnel things into the jungle sometimes. You are kind of the team's servant sometimes, but not in this case. I want him to be the playmaker.
All right.
Kind word, servant. I thought more
For a guy who's power ranked 5th, interesting win condition. Just hang there, Mark. Don't ask where I put
I
gotta help out my boy Crumbs too. All right?
Don't ask where I put Greg.
I need all the help, man. I'm not a real athlete.
Fair enough. Going into your predictions for the day, you guys did disagree on one match, and that will be the subject of our weekly wager today. You can see it there at the top of the list.
First one.
Whoa.
Well, bam! It's Dig versus Golden Guardians.
No, dude, no.
And gentlemen, it is going to be a fun weekly wager, because the loser of this weekly wager will have to wear a cone for the next segment.
Is it to stop us from biting ourselves? Or like, what do we?
Right, I don't know. It's to save you from yourself, the same way it is to save you from the dog.
Okay.
But,
Why couldn't this happen yesterday?
you still feeling confident?
Why
about
wasn't it
your...
yesterday?
We always wait for Crumbs for the weekly wagers.
all right.
Probably never gets in on it. Are you feeling confident
Well,
in your prediction?
yeah, I think so, because Golden Guardians has Closer.
Because Golden Guardians as Closer.
And they're not going to let Dig get Soraka.
I think it's funny that we have each other's win conditions, but then we predicted the other way.
That's the odd thing.
I know, it was perfect.
I think the soul laners for Dignitas are too good, and I think will be a big problem. I agree about the jungle mismatch, but I don't know if that's 1 out of 4 positions is enough to put it in their favor for me.
I think in general, we should just acknowledge that this should be a close matchup. Should be a very exciting one.
Crazy one. I mean, these two teams, by winning here, you establish yourself as upper echelon team. You are in the top scrim blocks, right? Because you have the scrim hierarchy. Either you're good, you play with the good teams. This is for
Where
being
do you
in the
think
good
TL's
scrim
in the scrim hierarchy right now, huh?
They're like, oh, we're against our main scrim partners.
We're playing Dignitas Academy, not Dignitas.
Brutal. 4-3 Dignitas, 3-4 Golden Guardians, as Crumbs mentioned. This would be a big win for either of these teams, being so close in the standings that it can really create some separation. We've called out, of course, Closer as a star for Golden Guardians, but that mid lane matchup in particular, Froggen against his replacement on Golden Guardians, who will come out on top there? And can FBI and Keith keep it going down there in the bot lane? Riv and Kobe are standing by to get us into Champion Select, so we're going to hand it off.